Good morning, my name is Allison Smithwick, and I'm going to share with you some of the latest and greatest about TbC Classroom. If you would like a copy of this slide deck without the recorded voice, you are welcome to access it at the bit.ly listed here. I'm also going to send this recording to our webinar registrants and post it on our YouTube channel. Okay, just a quick overview of what I will cover today. We will do just a very basic introduction to TbC Classroom in case it is completely new to you, and review new features and content updates that we have implemented in the past few months. I'm going to demonstrate how to put together a focus assessment. We will review reporting items, our process for editing items that have been published, how to request technical support, and how to get any of your additional questions addressed and answered. If you are new to TbC Classroom, we want you to know that you will have access to all of our TbC items that you may be accessing through your DMS currently, perhaps Eduphoria or Edugence. TbC Classroom is designed to be a less formal, more formative assessment tool that integrates with your LMS, and students can access a formative assignment, formative activity or assessment through Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, whichever LMS you guys are using on a daily basis. And so this is a comfortable and familiar platform for the students. They get immediate feedback, and data is provided to the teacher in just minutes. Some of the features that we have implemented in the past few months are the ability to print activities, to modify scores, and name randomization. So print activities was a feature that was commonly requested by our users, and we understand that sometimes that is an important thing to be able to do. We now have a print button on your TbC Classroom activities. Keep in mind that not every item type works nicely on a printed PDF. And so certain item types will print and look very consistent with the online environment. Others won't print at all. And some may print but look distinctively different than what a student would see online. So those are things to bear in mind when printing activities. Teachers now have the ability to modify scores. If you go into your data and taking a look at student responses and want to make an adjustment on an acceptable correct answer, or make another scoring adjustment of some kind, teachers are now empowered to do that within the tool. And we have name randomization, which means in that data dashboard, when you are able to look at students' results, you may remember that we could turn off and anonymize the data. We could turn off the names. Well, now those names are shuffled about, and so student 1 is not always at the top of the alphabet, and students won't necessarily be able to predict whose data they're looking at. So we're excited to have that name randomization to protect students' identity when sharing data in a class data talk, for instance. All right, also fairly recently, we have posted some focus assessment activity codes on our website, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment when we go over what are focus assessments and how do we use them. And in TbC Classroom, we have removed within that drop down that says select subject, old standards. And so you may recall that in the past you could see the sets of standards for science from 2017 and 2020. Now you're only going to see the sets of standards for science 2020. So old standards have been removed and only the most current standards are available to select. All right, we have a few content updates, and we've mentioned these before, but we want to be sure that you are aware. We have been working to enhance our constructed response items. You may be familiar with these if you're using a tool like Eduphoria Aware. They have not been available in TeachSpank Classroom, but will very soon be available to teachers and students. And so you will be able to practice and gather data on constructed response items. This has been a push. It's important to us. We are making these as good as we can before we roll them out through TeachSpank Classroom. We are also committed to providing Spanish translations and transadaptions for our items. So this is a slow process, and we want the highest quality translations or transadaptions. And so even though our goal is to be 1-to-1 on our K-5 items, you'll see that we sometimes lag behind in that. And the reason is that we are hiring highly qualified bilingual educators to take a look at our English items and either translate them to Spanish or make changes to the items so that they make the most sense and are most applicable in Spanish. So we are continuing on this journey of working towards 1-to-1, getting closer all the time. All right, as you know, the science standards were updated, and over the summer we did our initial realignment for science and social studies content, and then throughout the fall we have very diligently worked to verify, correct, remove items that no longer align with our standards. We've been filling gaps, updating art, doing all the things to ensure that our science items and also our social studies items are meeting your needs based on the new implementation. All right, I want to take just a few minutes and be sure that you know how to locate and use focus assessments in TbC, TeachSpank Classroom. So focus assessments are assessments that can be used to determine where students are in the learning continuum for one standard. And in this case, we're talking about reading and writing focus assessments. You can find the list on teachspankclassroom.com, and there a spreadsheet appears. And so I'm going to show you how to locate that and how to utilize it to build an ELAR focus assessment in TeachSpank Classroom. Now, the huge advantage to this, as ELAR teachers know, is that often if you want to assess a standard and get multiple questions for that standard, you're pulling in multiple passages. And we know that's not ideal. And so we've created these focus assessments based on 1 or 2 passages with multiple questions on a particular standard. And so you can really identify where students are on that learning continuum. Each question is slightly different rigor, and it provides a lot of data for teachers for informing their instruction. So I'm going to exit out of my slide deck here and go into teachspankclassroom.com. Okay, here's our website, and I'm going to go under the content drop-down to focus assessments. All right, here's that spreadsheet that I was telling you about, and you can see it's organized by grade level band. The tabs at the bottom indicate elementary focus assessments, secondary, and secondary English 1 through 4. And so you can scroll through and see the focus for each assessment, the standard, the genre of the passage, and in K through 5 or 3 through 5, we do have Spanish assessments as well. On the left-hand side of the screen are the reading focus assessments, the names of the passages, and on the right-hand side of the screen are those activity ID codes for the writing focus assessments. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those things. All right, I'm going to create a new activity, and I'm going to start with a reading activity. So I'm going to go with 3rd grade reading here for a quick example. And I will choose just the very first standard there, context clues 3.3b. And I can name this whatever activity type I prefer. This is an ELAR assessment, and I said we're going to do 3rd grade. All right, so 3.3b was the standard that I'm going to focus on. I'll check it there. You can see there are 119 items for 3.3b. We're going to narrow that significantly. Okay, and you can see on my screen that we are allowing you or providing you the opportunity to select a reading passage. And this is where this spreadsheet is going to be incredibly helpful. So I'm going to click back. The name of that passage for context clues, 5 questions on 3.3b was Animals and Travel. So I can type that in here. Pops right up. Okay. Now, when I look at Animals and Travel, there are a lot of standards associated with it, but for this focus assessment, I'm going to keep it narrow to just 3.3b. Select that passage. All right, and this yellow box is important. We do not want all questions for this passage. And we do not want to pull any questions outside of these passages into the activity. All right, in fact, it's showing 7 available questions. Let's take a look and see which 5 I want to use. All right, so as I click down the side here, I can see that each one of these items is associated with the same passage, Animals and Travel. I can see that each one of these questions is 3.3b. I can also see the DOK, and so I can arrange to or ensure that we're starting with DOK 1 and increasing in rigor. If I want to make some adjustments, I just drag and drop here. Okay. We'll do paragraph 4, paragraph 5, paragraph 6. And I will delete a couple extras so that I only have 5 items here. Okay, so now I have 5 items, 1 passage, all 3.3b. Your ELAR teachers are really going to appreciate this. We'll confirm and create. Okay, and then we're going to push it out through our LMS. I'll just take a look at the activity page and remind you that we do have the ability to reveal names or anonymize. At this point, I don't have any student data that's come in, so it's not going to change my view. I can download the data if I so choose, and I can print the activity. So there's that button there. If I want to take a look at how that activity turned out, this is the student view. And so students are able to navigate, read the passage, click through the questions. Okay, and I will close that. I'm going to go back and show you how to do a writing focus assessment. And let me click back on this tab and scroll over. All right, writing focus assessments are easier to find by activity ID. And so that's what I have provided to you on this spreadsheet. I'm looking at the top line, 3.11 DI is a focus assessment about complete sentences. That activity ID is important to know, to utilize. I'm going to copy it here so that I can paste it in a moment. Okay, to make that writing focus assessment with an existing activity ID, I'm going to click this drop down next to new activity. New activity from existing is what I want to choose when I have an activity ID. And just so you know, this is how teachers also can share activities with their teammates. They can copy their activity ID code, send it by email, and their teammate would make it in this way. New activity from existing. Paste in the activity ID. You can see the name pops up there. We can identify any type of activity type. Does not change anything about the format of the activity. And I'm going to say this is an on grade level activity. All right, so here it is. It's popped up the first in my list. And I'm going to preview it. This is how it looks. Okay, so we have at the top, read the following sentences. How are the two sentences different? And the answer choices. Bear in mind, this is a third grade focus assessment. So as you get higher in the grade levels, they get a little bit more complex. Okay. And again, as the data comes in, the teacher will be able to see how students are doing, objective by objective, item by item. You can do that class data talk where you look at the anonymized data and see the trends, talk to kids about what are we understanding, what are we not understanding, and so forth. And again, we have that print activity button. So let's just take a look. What you see when you click it, there's a reminder of which item types are supported by the print feature at this time. You are able to change your font or print theme. You could choose a dual column layout, which is perhaps more applicable in the higher grade levels. You can also print your answer key. Then you'll generate, it will create a PDF, and you will download and print. All right. So this is using focus assessments in TeachSpank Classroom. I did not demonstrate accessing the Spanish passages and focus assessments, but it works very, very similarly. And we hope that this is helpful, especially to your ELAR teachers and your SLAR teachers who need 5 questions or so on one particular standard without their students having to read multiple passages. If you need to report an item, you've found an incorrect answer or a mistake or typo of some sort, a learning standard is misaligned, we want you to report that to us, please. And so I'm showing here in this little GIF how to do that. You would click that thumbs down button and then give us as much info as possible about what you're seeing and how the item should be corrected. You can do this even after this activity is built. If you notice a problem after the students have taken the quiz, this animation here is showing you how to report after students have interacted with the quiz. Okay, it shows clicking the thumbs down button. Students do not see that, only teachers see that. So students will not be reporting items, but a teacher may. And again, it's really important you give us as much information as possible so that we can address the issue, do our research, correct the errors. Our process is that every time an item is reported, it is reviewed by a consultant, and then we will email you a response. If we've made your suggested correction, we'll let you know that. If we have found that no, in fact, we're standing by what's there in the bank, we will let you know that and the justification for that. So you should always hear back from us if you report an item. And again, we really appreciate that feedback. With tens of thousands of items, we need as many eyes and experts thinking about those items as possible. So please send us that feedback. If you need technical support, so you're needing some troubleshooting support, you don't remember how to share tests or modify student scores, perhaps you're at the very beginning of registering TbC with your organization and you need some help with the workspaces or getting an error message. Any of these technical type issues, we would like you to send an email to datasolutions@region10.org or call the help desk number, All right, if you have other questions about TeachSpank Classroom, the content within TeachSpank, you are welcome to email me anytime with questions, suggestions, requests. And again, there's that help desk number. So if you've called before, you know that Patrick and Jennifer are exceptional help desk support representatives. They never make anyone feel silly. They're really, really effective in supporting you with walking through a problem, troubleshooting, correcting things. So feel free to give them a call, and if they can't answer it, they're going to direct it to one of the consultants who can. Upcoming webinars, you can see that I've got TBD here. We have got some additional webinars scheduled this spring, but the dates are not yet decided, and here's the reason why. I've got some breaking news for you. We have a new interface coming. Our developers have come up with some significant changes to the flow of TeachSpank Classroom. We're super excited about getting those rolled out to you. But before we do that, we want to schedule a series of webinars to give you a heads up, what it's going to look like, how it's going to work, how it's going to be the same or different from what you're used to. And so as we get those dates scheduled and coordinated with our developers, we will start posting those. And you'll have the opportunity to sign up for those webinars to kind of see what's happening with the newest version of TeachSpank Classroom. Here's our TeachSpank team, and we also support TeachSpank Classroom as well. Email any of us anytime. Our emails are firstname.lastname@region10.org. And one more time, I've got our help desk number. That's a quick way to get a hold of us. Anyone can call. Teachers to administrators to superintendents. That number is available for anyone who is looking for support with our products. Thank you so much for your attention. Please follow us on our social media accounts. We do post about upcoming webinars, events, PL sessions, all kinds of things on each of those platforms. So we look forward to connecting with you there. Thanks so much.